It's that time of the year where we look back at the predictions we made at the beginning of the season. So let's get right underway. No chit chat going into it. We're going straight in. Who did I have in 12? I had St Johnstone. To be honest, that's not that bad. Even though it was 3 places out because they finished 9th, it's not that bad because they were around there the whole season. They never really pulled away and went into that mid-table battle. They were just above the relegation teams, and they weren't too far away. However, they pulled away just towards the end during the split. So I'm not too displeased with that, and I'm just glad they didn't do what a Bournemouth social media admin did for predicting them to finish that low. 11th, I had Kilmarnock. They finished 10th. I'm not too displeased with that because they went to the final game fighting to not finish 11th, and we'll come on to the team it did in a bit. So I'm not too displeased with that because it literally went down to the last game of the season for them to pull away from that position and finish one above. 10th, this is my second worst prediction of the video. There's one where it's probably my worst prediction of all time, but we'll come to that in a little bit as well. So 10th, I had St Mirren. They finished 6th, and to be honest, I've seen so many people who post predictions each year on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube who had St Mirren to finish either rock bottom or in the relegation playoff. I had them 10, which I thought was generous at the time just because I rate the manager so much. And they finished 6th, which just shows how good Robinson is as a manager. He done brilliant at Motherwell previously. I knew he was a good manager for this level, and he's done even better because he's made someone who I think is probably Scottish Championship quality in Curtis Main look half decent and get a fair amount of goals, even if it's tap-ins, headers, etc. He's still scoring goals that he probably wouldn't under a different manager, which kind of just proves how good his coaching is of getting the best out of someone who's maybe not that great and using your budget to its full maximum. Especially look at Mark O'Hara, someone who probably should have been in the PFA Scotland's team of the season in my opinion. I think he should have been over Tillman, as I said in our video. Go watch it if you haven't already. I think he's a great player and shows up in big games against Celtic and Rangers, and that's the games that these lesser sides, need to kind of step up, and he showed he is a player who can step up in the big moments. So yeah, 9th, I had Livingston to finish 8th. I'm not too mad about that. Long as it's like 1 or 2 out, I'm pretty pleased because you cannot, predictions, it's really hard. I'm not gonna lie. 8th, I had Motherwell. They finished 7th, and Ash is fine, thanks. So let's move on. They two, just 1 off on each. 7th, this is a bad one. Ross County. I thought they drop off a little bit without Charles Cook, but I didn't realise the influence that Regan Charles Cook had on this Ross County side. Because a fair amount of his goals when he finished top goal scorer tied with Giacomakis were penalties, so I didn't realise his influence so much until this season. Then you're like, wow. It would have been nice if they showed up against Kelly, because they could have got my Kelly one correct and been a tiny little bit less I get between my prediction. However, they did finish second bottom and will face Partick Thistle to try and remain in the Premiership, whilst Partick look to cause the upset. However, according to Malky, maybe it's not an upset. We'll see. 6th place, I had Hibs. Usually when I have Hibs in my predictions, I usually aim high and they finish low. This time I predict them to finish 6th and they finish 5th. I'm still not too mad at that because, to be honest, they haven't really been any better than 5th or 6th, to be honest. Even though they could have pushed for 4th near the end, their inconsistencies throughout the whole season under our manager I do think is pretty decent in Lee Johnson, who I was unsure on at the start. However, throughout the season, he says the right things. He looks to be better than what I thought he was when he was at Sunderland. Yeah, inconsistent, but they got a European spot, which it looks like it'll probably be a European spot, as you'd imagine. Celtic will be Inverness, and good luck to them because we want as many teams in Europe as possible. 5th place, my worst prediction ever. I alluded to it early on in the video. Dundee United. And I'm not going to take any stick for this on social media or on the comments here on YouTube, because who would have thought Dundee United would have went down? Unless you're a Dundee fan, and still it would have been ridiculous to say at the start of the season before anything had happened, that Dundee United, the players like Levitt, Stephen Fletcher, just to name two of them. At the time, Tony Watt, who's like a Premiership striker, St Mirren fans love him now because he went there on loan before getting injured. Even though I watched a lot of their games throughout the season, you see highlights, and that keeper is useless. The Aussie that they have, they spent decent money on. He's got nothing special about him. He's just terrible. I think I'd pay for him to leave. In fact, I'd drive him out of Scotland. He is that bad if I was a Dundee United fan. He is just not very good at football, to say the least. Now into the top four. Now this is the main part of the table, you'd say. Fourth, I had Aberdeen, and this one I'm very annoyed at due to a certain Robbie Nielsen. You have stiffed me here, because Aberdeen should have finished fourth, but third place, who I had in this prediction, was Hearts, because with that squad and with the structure they'd built on the season before, they should have been finishing third again. They had such a huge gap at one point, and Robbie Nielsen blew it away. Naismith came in as caretaker. He now looks like he'll get on permanent. I do think it's a bit of a lazy appointment, but I won't really say too much about it. However, I think they should be a bit more ambitious, whilst third is guaranteed Conference League football. I feel like you have to be a bit more ambitious, because 5 million qualification it basically is. That's a lot in Scotland, and if Aberdeen can get that multiple years, or other sides, that could force Hearts to have a bit of a problem getting back into the top three, which is you kind of want to be the best of the rest. So into the top two, what Glasgow side did I have winning? It's kind of like a 65-35, maybe a 60-40 when it comes to this at the moment of what you'd predict. Second place I had Rangers, obviously, because first place I had Ange Postecoglou's Celtic. But will it be Ange's Celtic next season? Because it could be Celtic, but will it be Ange's? That's the debate at the moment. Will he go to Spurs? Will he stay? It's an interesting thing. For me, I think he stays, but don't quote me on it, because I thought Brendan was going to stick the season out before leaving. I thought Brendan was going to leave at the time. I just didn't think he was going to leave mid-season to Leicester, so don't trust my word on it. I just have hope, especially once they posted that Q&A thing. But it's been a very interesting season. St Johnstone finished a bit better than I thought. St Mirren, the fact they finished in the top half, miracle. Can they repeat it next season? We'll have to wait and see. But I do find it interesting. Hibs, I say, were the most inconsistent. Dundee United, biggest underperformers. And the overperformers are definitely St Mirren. That's the two. St Mirren overperformed. Dundee United, this isn't underperforming. This is there needs to be a new word for it. That's just terrible. We'll quickly look over the guests we had in that video's predictions, see how theirs went. They had 12 St Mirren, so again, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people had them going down, and I had them in 10th, and they finished even higher. Just well done to the Pandas. They had 11 Ross County, bang on. 10th, they had St Johnstone, they finished 9th. Pretty decent, only one out. Kelly had the 9th, they finished 10th, not too bad. 8th, they had Hibs, he's a Hearts fan, so fair enough, but they finished 5th. And however they were that inconsistent, they probably could have finished there if there was no split, to be fair. 7th, Motherwell, bang on. 6th, Dundee United, they finished 12th. So that's just as bad as mine, basically. Just one closer to the correct. 5th, they had Livy, they finished 8th, swapped in Hibs and really got another one right. 4th, they had Aberdeen. 3rd, they had Hearts, the same. He should have got that correct as well. He should have had about 6 correct here. But Robbie Nielsen really let slip. And Hearts finished 4th, with Aberdeen have guaranteed Conference League football. Hopefully get a nice draw, and hopefully hopefully Hearts can join Aberdeen in the Conference League, as well as Hibs, hopefully. However, it'll be a tough task getting for those qualifiers, as they are quite early on, to be fair. And then top 2, we had the same as me, Rangers 2nd, Ange Postecoglou finishing top, as he should, because he's the best manager in Scotland. But will he still be in Scotland come next season? We'll have to see when it gets to a few weeks' time, when we're coming to the back to the predictions, should I say. Sorry for the stumble of words. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.